and boom, we are live. Sorry, I just had to go take the rubbish out. It's the first rubbish of the year. We just got back from Australia yesterday. Oh, I just realised that I've got to go and do something over there, and I've got to open this up. And 1 minute. I'm sorry, I'm still kind of setting up, but I'm here. I'm ready for a new 2000. Oh. And 16. That was me just closing the door just then. That was open. I'm here. 2016. We made it. We are in the next year, and hope you guys are well. Lots and lots and lots to talk about. I of course skipped a week last week because I was in Australia, which has crap internet. That happens. However, made it back safely yesterday. Only 1 hour time difference from where I was in Queensland. So lots to talk about. I can talk about Australian reverse culture shock, or the Australian thing. I could talk about, I do plan to talk about the end of year stuff. I'll also show off iMachine, which I did spend some time learning, and I made a couple of tracks on the flight on the way back, which were okay. Toro sato konbanwa, good to see all of you people. Man, so much stuff sort of happening. I guess start out, first of all, Happy New Year to everybody. Hope this is a great year for all of you guys, as I will try to make it for myself. The big thing I really want to announce first, everybody look out, this Wednesday, January 6th, Wednesday. Wednesday night is going to be business time for the next 8 weeks. My new series, Japan Business Time with Rochelle Kopp, starts up officially from this Wednesday. It's edited, it's scheduled. It is, in terms of just editing and presentation and content, I mean, having Rochelle in these videos, this is the best, the most professional setup that I think I've ever done. I think it looks really good. It's funny though, I'm putting all of this evident in spite of the fact that the last How to Not Screw Up in Japan series got pretty kind of low views as my videos go. It actually, but you know, I still think there's some of the best content that I've made. I think it's going to be there for a while and timeless. I think it's going to outlast most of my other videos, so I believe in the content, and that's why I put a lot of effort into editing it and making it look nice. A lot of people to shout out for the credits for that, and starting with you guys. It was the people who made comments that Rochelle came back and she's like, this comment is awesome, and this comment is awesome, and this is a great topic, this question. And we actually reviewed every comment on every one of the videos up until now and got the topics from that for the new series. So most of the topics are decided by you guys, and that's what we're going to do again. This is going to be like a regular thing every time that Rochelle comes to Japan. But also from Poke-chan, who drew the backgrounds that I used. We used the green screen room for recording it. That was pretty awesome. So that is pretty cool. That is awesome, and that is just coming up very soon. Let me get into my magazines here, and boom, 2015 roundup. I'll put that in the middle there, all set to go. You can check this out. My current Flipboard. If you check out my Flipboard magazines, which you can access on the link underneath in the video information, you can see this particular magazine has a lot of stuff in it. It has 405 articles in it. It's grouped into 3 sections, or 4 sections actually. It's grouped first, going in reverse order, from my own highlights of the year, next to best videos of the year, to next sort of tech, YouTube and technology sort of, and science news of the year, and then finally Japan news of the year. I kind of summarized this as much as I could on Facebook, and I think I did an okay job of doing it on Facebook. In fact, so much so I'm thinking about doing tonight actually from my Facebook rather than from my Flipboard, although I guess I can do it with this. It's going to take a long time because it's 405 articles. But anyway, and definitely Trentia, I think I pronounced that right, Trentia, Dutch if I recall, that's what the name looks like. But anyway, Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you for all the Happy New Year messages, and indeed over the New Year's, thanks for all the messages while I was away. I was keeping up with Facebook and whatnot, even though I could not YouTube. So yeah, you know what, tonight might be good for doing from Facebook actually. By the way, for everyone watching, my Facebook is always in the video information below. All of my posts are public. I use it like kind of like a blog. It is a cool place for me to interact. I can understand if people don't want to share their Facebook with me, but for example, if you want to keep up and have actual conversations with me offline, my Facebook is open. I treat it like Twitter, so it is there. And indeed, an awesome new series starting Wednesday. maybe I'll talk a little bit about Australia first. Australia was awesome. I've just been actually, part of the reason I was late was I was just editing some 550 photos I took in Australia, just picking out the best ones for the family photo for the family photo albums. But yeah, so we were in Queensland in Brisbane. They just restarted. Qantas just reopened the route. Both Qantas and JAL shut down the route to Brisbane, which is very disappointing because Brisbane does have a pretty large Japanese community there, and it's also got the best Japanese language program in the whole southern hemisphere. And it's always been the gateway for Queensland, which is a major tourism state in Australia. But because both Qantas and JAL had their businesses basically collapse, they cut down flights to all but the very biggest cities, which meant for the last 8 or 9 years there have been no direct flights directly to Brisbane. There have been very expensive flights that go to Gold Coast. But rather than do that, we've always gone through Korea, which is flying 2 hours the opposite direction and then flying back over Japan 5 hours later to go back to Australia. And we survived that way. But yeah, this time we had the direct flight on Qantas to Brisbane. In terms of the flight, well, it's Qantas. It's still they had a nice new airplane, the A380, on the way there. I saw some good movies. I saw some movies. I saw Straight Outta Compton. I didn't see. I missed the final 40 minutes of it. Now I really want to see it. I was disappointed it wasn't on the catalogue for the flight back. That was pretty good. I also saw Avatar for the first time, which was okay. But yeah, I think what else? I must have seen something else on the flight back. I saw. What did I watch on the flight back? I think I should have had this all straightened out in my head before I started talking about it. But I saw Get Hard. Yeah, which was, I think, what was that? Was that Chris Rock and Will Ferrell? That was really, really crap. But the other movie that I saw Interstellar, which I hadn't seen before. That was actually pretty good. I quite like that movie. But anyway, yeah, Qantas is Qantas. Qantas is, service isn't really something. Australians have a funny idea of service, which is, kind of protect yourself first. It's kind of friendly and a kind of like, they talk and say friendly things, but they're not really that friendly, as I find. It's kind of my New Zealand, Japan perspective. And the service is terrible. The food is terrible. Well, when I say terrible, it's average. It's what you'd expect from being in Australia. But when you lived in a place like Japan, I think you are pretty spoiled for good service here. So, yeah, it was good. The flight, at least we had 5 hours less on the flight there. It was a pretty good. It was an okay flight. Australia overall impressions. I think I listed them up on Facebook earlier actually. But generally speaking, I found that people are. The tattoo thing seems to have subsided a little bit, but let me just go into my into my posts. If I go to my recent posts, I think that might be a good way of doing this, if it will let me. Plus, yeah, this shows all people who tag me, which now why won't it let me go into myself? Go into my own posts here. Maybe I can't do it this way. I can't get it to show more, and I'm seeing a bunch of posts by Phoenix787 who tagged me, so I can't see my own posts anymore. Okay, I guess I can't do it this way. But that is weird. Why can't I see more of my own posts? Let me just try refreshing one more time, and if this does not work... activity log, no... Boom. Okay, that seemed to work. The refresh thing seemed to work. Okay, so here we go. I can do my review this way. So let me do this. So for impressions of Australia anyway, the tattoo thing seems to have more or less subsided. Indeed, here we go. Impressions of Australia, based on a quick snapshot. So what I had, the tattoos are not so prominent, but people now have the short back and sides, kind of really short around the head, parted on top, and the big beards. They look like kind of 19th century photos to me, which it's cool. I think it looks quite smart actually. Although looking after beards is a pain, and those things are like full of germs and stuff like that. Cairns is indeed, yes, Barraja. I think it is now officially part of Japan. By the way, big shout out to Brad Ford, who drove all the way from Geelong to Noosa, and he was actually at the airport just before I was on the way out, picking up his lady. Who arrived in the flight that arrived at 5:30. I didn't get to the airport till 7:30, and he said, "Let's meet up." And I was like, "Seriously, you don't want to wait for 2 hours at an airport to see me checking my suitcases?" And although I did actually, I pinged him when I got there, and I was keeping an eye out. But no, seriously, he had to drive for 3 days to get to the airport. He was up at Noosa. I hope he has a good time up there. The weather, by the way, was great. We had every day was like 29 degrees. It was just perfect. Not too hot, definitely not cold. Great weather. Just one major storm we had when I was down staying at the Australian SeaWorld. No orcas, no controversy like that. We were at a big resort park, basically like Disneyland. I mean, the whole southeast Queensland is it's like the Florida of Australia, in a good way. The beaches and the eccentric people and so on. And Gold Coast is very much the Orlando. It's full of all the theme parks and stuff like that. So we were kind of at the equivalent of the Australian equivalent of Disney World, I guess. But yes, there was a massive storm, and we couldn't get onto Bradley Ford is there. There you go. Hello, sir. I hope you are enjoying Noosa. I hope the Australian internet sustains the stream. But yes, the weather was great. Went to some water parks, went to SeaWorld, had a good time. Very expensive, but oh man, Australia is so expensive. I think okay, this is in my comments here, so let's go through this. I wrote this while I was there. So yes, the tattoos seem to be less now. All the people with tattoos seem to have kids, and are probably starting to reconsider them. I don't know. Most of the younger people seem to be more clean. I saw lots of Kiwis, which I always feel good when I see Kiwis. It just reminds me, to me, Maori people are cool, because I grew up around in towns which were kind of majority Maori, yeah, I was kind of taking notes of the brands and where I can get shirts like they were wearing with koru, with Maori design patterns on there. Loved having my boy there, just basically barefoot, running around on grass, playing rugby and playing soccer, and in the pool every day, just very healthy, which I must admit you do feel a little bit like he's missing in Tokyo. Although Tokyo is still great, but that was pretty cool. Diversity, I've noticed a lot more Muslims, for example, like visible Muslims and stuff like that. That was pretty good. Bradley Ford, well, the upside of the rain is that I guess they needed it, but yes, it sucks if you're at the beach and it's raining. Yes, Australia is definitely becoming more and more diverse, especially, Queensland has always been very, like the closest thing they had to diversity. When I was there like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when my mum first moved out, there was, honestly, New Zealanders, we were the most exotic people there. Now that's definitely not the case, which I think is a good thing. Yeah, everyone there is super loud. Honestly, like, it's nice. I like that Australians can talk to anybody. But I still get a little bit startled. In Tokyo, people, it's like Osaka. I always explain to Japanese people that Australia is like Osaka, where everyone just talks to everyone and it's super casual. And in Tokyo, it's not like that. People don't talk with each other. And maybe it's partly that I've become too accustomed to Tokyo and the fact that I'm a New Zealander. I kind of freak out of it when everyone is like talking to me so much. And actually, I always find it's great that they can do that. But yes, fatties. The fatty situation doesn't seem to be worse. They seem to be the same number. There are still some crazy fat people there. But in terms of ratios, I did notice every time since I first got there that there were more and more fat people. I think the number of fat people seems to have plateaued. And it's actually more surprising now that there are still skinny people. I mentioned here, there seem to be quite a lot of... You almost expect everyone to be fat now, especially, Australia is on average fatter than America. Yes, I don't know. There are still lots of fit and good-looking people as well. Queensland is very good for that, actually. So that was an impression, and prices are crazy. Granted, I was going to tourism type places where they do this even more. But inside SeaWorld or inside the museum, or you get a vending machines to buy water, a bottle, 350 mils, 500 mils of water. And it's like $5 or $5.50 for water. My mum was explaining you can't go out and have a meal anywhere for like less than $35. Whereas in Tokyo you can have a good meal, with a family for a little bit more than that. So Tokyo, Australia, I think, is now really clearly become more expensive than Japan, which is really, really interesting. By the way, I put up my damage report. I was 82.6 kilos when I left. I weighed myself this morning. I was 87.2. I put on 4.6 kilos. So yes, I'm drinking a lot of water and cutting down portions, and I'm going to be signing up for my kickboxing gym tomorrow. I'm going to try to get rid of it. But yeah, 10 days I put on nearly 5 kilos. That happens, but yes, that's right. I've got to get down. By the way, I had almost endless butter. Every day I had like double butter on everything, and no one stopped me. There was always butter on the table, always getting bread rolls. I love bread rolls, which I miss from Australia. So yes. Bradley Ford, yes, well, you're in Noosa. I've heard that Noosa has gone super up class, but yes, it's definitely still country town territory, and yes, everything does close down early, because, you know, it is an Australian thing as well. People consider it their right to not work, and that's, you know, that's what you get. I'm sorry I couldn't do a meetup, by the way. I would have liked to have done a meetup, but I was on a kind of a tight schedule, and I was with family and everything while I was there, so yes, indeed. By the way, my weight, I should be 84. So I'm 87.2, and I've got to do my health checkup, and I will get failed if I'm over 84. So I've got to at least drop 3.5 kilos. Even if I can't drop all of it, I've got to drop it fast. So I'm going to be doing some serious exercise, and honestly, I'm going to not eat very much. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to obviously not starve myself or anything like that. I'm too selfish to starve myself, but damn, I'm going to have to drop some weight fast for my health checkup, or else I'm going to get more dramas. So, yes, impressions of Australia. By the way, this is Ace Harding, Hinagaijin. He's doing a trip of beautiful part of New Zealand, Bay of Plenty and Coromandel Peninsula. So, yeah, he put up some really beautiful photos of that trip, which I just shared of that. Resolutions. I put up resolutions, so I talk about resolutions. My resolutions, I'm going to start kickboxing again, which, yes, starting tomorrow. Reboot Japanese vids. Even after this video, I'm thinking tonight I might just even record just a 3-minute, just anything. Neo Bear 66. Done, and I think effective. I think that the flight actually does have, you know, because you do get a bit backed up by the long dry flight. So yes, I've definitely made some progress already, but I don't think it was 3 kilos worth, but we'll find out. So yes, reboot the Japanese vids, which I'll, even after this, is something that I want to do. Maybe after the show tonight I might record something quick, just anything, just putting Japanese vids back up. Get my music skills up to the point that I could release something kind of indies quality, which is partly, I'll show you a little bit at the end, the old iMachine and how that works. So that was pretty cool. I still want to reboot my writing. I haven't done that this year. Writing does take a lot of time, and I don't have it. Even doing this is really taking all the free time that I have, but I still want to get back into writing. And even tonight I've had a fun conversation with Brian McNeil, who I found very inspiring when I was doing that before. Book of Host, that's a new name there. Good to see you. Howdy, indeed. Happy New Year. And you do videos. Okay, I'm gonna go and look that up then in that case. In fact, you know what? I'm going to do that right now. Book of Host. Oh, is that? I know who that is. That's John Clemens. That's Nihonjon, right? Got it. Okay. Yes, I want to... Everyone, go subscribe to this guy. The Japan, I think, number 2. He was like the Canada of hosts. He was the number 2 host in Japan or something. And here we go. Well, he's started a blog on his whole host experience. And boom, that is awesome. Okay, Nihonjon. Everyone go subscribe to Book of Host. Right now, let's go click on subscribe. It's right there. You just do it right there. I just subscribed, which you should be able to see now. Boom. Hopefully it will show now that I'm subscribed. Yes, everyone go do that, because that is going to be an awesome series. Go subscribe to that guy, and we're going to get him on 2.5 Oyajis, definitely. I mean, I think we're already talking about getting him on, so look out for that. Back to the resolutions. I'll get back into writing. It's just tough, but I really want to do it because I was good at it, you know, and I had some really good things up. Definitely more Tokyo tonight, more 2.5 Oyajis. Also more series like the ones I've been doing with Ace and with Rochelle Cop. I've already been talking with Rhyming Gaijin about setting something like that up. Some other people I've also talked to with are Strawberry Mochi and Deep in Japan, Reina from Deep in Japan. I've been talking with her about doing something like that, just up in the space. It's just cool to actually just figure out having a structured conversation that you can make into a really cool, engaging series. Summer party. I'm going to boost the summer party this year. That is going to be awesome. Too busy eating butter to see my subscribers. Yes, that's right. That's how I was. I don't know. It was. It's just tough, to get a few hours away from the family, like when every day is just packed up with stuff to do. Which reminds me, I saw Force Awakens. I've got to give a non-spoiler review. My non-spoiler review I'll keep very simple. It was good. I loved it. I know there were some people who are saying who are ragging on it and saying, it's just another remake of Episode 4 or whatever. It's not. It's different. I mean, there are parallels, but there are parallels with the prequels as well, and that was intentional. It's awesome. It's fresh. It's original. Love the new characters. Go see it, and go see it soon, because I'm going to start dropping spoilers soon, because I just want to talk about it so bad. It was awesome. In fact, I was actually having again a debate with Bio McNeil's on Bio McNeil's thread about an interpretation of that movie. It was good. Go watch it. It was great. So what else have we got here? More aspirational. Definitely want to watch more vids. Definitely want to boost the summer party, the September party. I've been talking with Dave Powell and some other people. He's given me some advice on some ideas for boosting that. And I don't know if I can do everything that he can do, but I definitely want to try. So look out for that. That's right, smoke butter every day. And get Danny Chuan and Peter Barakan on. Yes, Raz Al Ghul. That is true. I'd also like to get Hiroko Tabuchi on it, actually, at some point, if that is possible. And Book of Host, yes, indeed. Force Awakens was way good. Everyone goes subscribe to Book of Host and keep watching his vids, because he's a guy with a good story to tell, which is like the most that you could ask for. Completely agree. JJ, yes, he did a great job. He really did a great job. And the fact that Lucas was saying that he felt like he's unhappy that it's all just fan service, and that he sold his children into white slavery for $4 billion. I will add to that. I mean, taking $4 billion, and I'm sorry, the white slavers in this case did a much better job. So I think it's a win-win situation. But anyway, more collabs, but definitely for music stuff. I really want to get the music up into a point where, under the Tokyo Digital Crew moniker, it'd be great if I could get to a point where I could be looking at even mastering and releasing some stuff in an indies kind of a way, and even playing some stuff live. That's, for me, I mean, the ultimate end goal is getting to a situation where I could creatively play something live, like in a club on a big sound system, and that's what I'd like to do in the end. But we'll see how far I move along this year. I'm still a long way from that goal, but having fun with it and moving along, so that's pretty cool. Indeed, so iMachine 2, which is just a beast of an app, and I'll show you where I'm up to. That is just random stuff. I've got my Flipboard. I've got a link to it there, which you can see on my Facebook thing, although it is also in the video information below this, on where you can see the 404 articles I picked out from this year. And there is 2016. So here we go. The first thing, I started making music really in a big way during the Christmas last year in Australia. I started making music, and this one Muruai reggae track I made is still like the most successful. It's got up to number 7 in the global Creative Commons shareable music charts. I don't know if that's great, but I haven't matched it again. Yes, it's kind of been cool making music, and I've gotten a real kick out of seeing everybody else also using my music as well, and developing more skills with how to move it. So yes, indeed. What did Lucas say? Oh, Lara, good to see you. Happy New Year. I'm curious now that Lucas shouldn't have said that, but now I'm curious what Lucas said. What did Lucas say? I probably... Oh, that's right. Sorry, of course, not Lucas Massa, George Lucas. That's right. He shouldn't have said that. Well, indeed, and he came out grovelingly retracting it. But anyway, continuing on, my old friend from high school, Ace, made this awesome series, Henda Gaijin, What Really Matters. He likes to call it Henda Gaijin. I like to call it What Really Matters, but he's made 2. He's going to make another Japan series of this, and hopefully I might even get involved in the next series that he makes in Japan. It was awesome. He is a TV producer for Discovery Channel and National Geographic, and this is what happens when a producer from a major network comes on and makes a YouTube series the way that he wants to make it, which, as we find out in the series that I make with him, Ace Producer versus Geek YouTuber, we talk about the limitations that he operates under commercially, and that the freedom of YouTube, and why he thinks that YouTube is the future, and that was demonstrated in this awesome series. Go see it if you haven't seen it. That was a real cool thing. my whole year was made when Rhyming Gaijin responded to I kind of begged him, I cyber begged him to rap over one of my tracks, and he did it. So yes, a vocal collaboration. I'd like to do more vocal collaborations this year, but Rhyming Gaijin is just an awesome freestyler. I just love his videos, just walking around freestyling. It's just an amazing, it took a lot of practice to do it. I was talking with him about that. I met him at the end of the year. But it's an amazing skill to have, which I just love, and that he did it on some music which I made for him, actually, in the hope that he would do that. That was made my whole year that he did that, so thank you for that. I really think that Yuta Aoki really broke on the scene. I think that I reviewed his book. I think that he's really doing well. He's really prominent on the Japanese internet. I love that I put it here, that's right, that Lucas Musso, if this starts playing it might get a little bit weird. In fact, where has that gone? Maybe the link here isn't so good. Oh, I've got the wrong link there. Anyway, Lucas, I love that you recorded my music being played on the sound system at your gym, being played loud. And, I'm always listening to my music on headphones and stuff like that. I can't play it loud in the apartment that I'm in, so the fact that you showed me for the first time my music being played loud on a sound system, which is where I want it to be. Yes, that was another highlight of the year for me, actually, and that's something, again, I just, one of my goals is to get into a club and play my music loud on a proper sound system one day. But you sending me that video of that club in the Philippines, that gym in the Philippines playing my music loud, just was awesome for me. Been an awesome year of 2.5 Oyajis, and again I could just do a whole wrap up on 2.5 Oyajis just on its own. But I love that when Victor and Tomoko came to Tokyo for the Hanami, afterwards we went to the YouTube space and we recorded in the space. We set up a set. We had a great lively video that we had to re-record twice. I think some people saw the unauthorized version. I actually asked him not to use the other version. That Victor also uploaded later because he thought it was so hilarious watching me rant and rave. I was kind of angry during the first one. So we recut it, and the second one, which is here, which is the official one, it came out great. And again, it was just it was really nice to do a video with Tomoko live in the same room. It was really fun going into the space with Victor. And we just had a great year with fantastic guests on the show, and I think we're going to keep going on 2.5 Oyajis stronger than ever, and with a real focus on guests and interesting people, and just shooting the shit like we always do. Lara, yes, Yuta's book is really good. I mean, and when you consider that he's not a native English speaker, that he wrote that book. So yes, that was. I'm getting distracted by the comments here, but yes, the book is really good. And his video series, he does a lot of social experiments and street interviews, which I love. He's just very good at talking to people. It's funny, Yuta showed up at the summer party that I organized in 2014, and he wasn't making videos at that time. He was just kind of seizing up the YouTube scene. And the way that he attacked it in 2015, man, he's kicking ass, writing, blogging, and making these videos on social experiments and stuff like that. And he's doing a really good job of it, so you should check out his videos as well. Go subscribe to the guy because he's really good. I went and took some oversized clothes. Well, I saw something on the news about there's an NGO that supports refugees in Japan, and how only 5 applications were accepted out of 11,000 last year. And I looked up online where they were, and it turned out they were near my old neighborhood where I used to live in. So I was about to move house. I had a lot of clothes I had to get rid of, big size clothes, and so I called them up and said, look, would you take, I've got some nice clothes like suits and stuff like that. I lost weight, I've got fat clothes, can you take them? And they said actually, because most of they have a lot of African people from African countries who are going through the refugee process, and a lot of those people are big people, and they need gaijin size clothes. So they said, if you've got them, bring them in. And I took them in. I met Miyuki while I was there, and I asked Miyuki, could we do a little bit of a feature on the NGO and the work it does on the refugee situation in Japan? And she said sure, and we did a great video in Japanese and in English on refugees. It turned out to be a really cool video, which I was able to do at the same time as donating some clothes, which was good for both of us. I had to get rid of the clothes, and they needed them. I don't know, hopefully maybe one of my suits might have got a 6th person in acceptance, I don't know. But I know a lot of the lawyers actually who help out with that organization as well. So it was really cool to be able to make a video together. So that was really awesome. started a monthly show with Steve Miller of Asian News Weekly. And that's been one. I just love making videos with him, and it was always kind of random before. So having a regular thing with him right now is great, and I'm definitely going to keep that going. We already, I mean, given that the Comfort Woman big thing happened while I was away, the supposed resolution again of the Comfort Woman issue. I mean, the Comfort Woman issue itself is a terrible, terrible issue, and I feel terrible for the Comfort Women themselves and everything that they went through. But again, just knowing that this is kind of a deja vu all over again situation. But again, it's big, it's historically significant, as these things always are, and it's going to be great to talk with him about that again in the very first Wednesday. Oh, we might have to change the day of the week. It's always been the first Wednesday of the month, but I've just realized it's going to clash with Japan business time. So maybe we'll do it another day, I'm not sure, but we will have that coming up in the first week of February, all the latest Asian news. Great to talk with him, and really, really fun. Talking with someone who knows the news better than me, and I follow the news a lot, so you have a really, really good conversation. I also like the fact that you've basically got like Jean-Luc Picard and a radio voice, but we swear and we say shit, and that's good. You know, it's kind of good to see him relaxing. My idol, a PDR, my favorite Japan YouTube channel, he actually made a video based on a tweet that I made about some people who had created a movie theater with using a smartphone on a cardboard box on someone's head. And he did that, and he shouted me out, and I was like, yes, I can retire from YouTube because PDR has shouted me out. Yes, I've got a major man crush on him, and he obviously likes Kiwis. He's married to May, all that stuff there, and yes, it's also awesome that he went to New Zealand last year. But his channel is still going awesome, like 500,000 subscribers. And you know what, I think it still deserves to be bigger. I think it deserves to be in the millions category. I know he works really, really hard at it, and it was really cool to get shouted out in one video by his anyway, so that was kind of a highlight of the year for me. So good on you, PDR and Mime. My series on how to not screw up in Japan with Rochelle Cobb, that was, again, awesome for me. That was really, really fun doing that with Rochelle, and we both got such a kick out of it that we made a new series, which is starting this week, Wednesday, Japan Business Time, be there, business time this Wednesday. Nikita made me this new logo, which you can see on all my stuff, and it is awesome. She made me a bunch of stuff, actually. That's Pug-chan, and Pug-chan is awesome, so thank you, Pug-chan. The thumbnails got crazy during the year, and you know what? Immediately I'm going to start thinking, who am I missing out here? But there are a bunch of people I named there just thanking. There's, of course, Fox Morris, Travis Moore. I know guys like Shonbro, The Master, a bunch of people just randomly. I Raz Al Ghul, I think, did a couple. It was super fun. It was like a highlight for me every week, seeing all of the new seeing all of the new photoshops and everything this week. This was like kind of extreme. This is Slave Leia. I must admit, made me slightly uncomfortable, but at the same time, this one was so well done. Barringer, it's just the price you've got to pay. It's the price you've got to pay. And this was awesome. I mean, these are that was Fox Morris, and some serious skills there. Ace and I, as I mentioned earlier, we did a series together talking about the difference between YouTube production and TV commercial production. Again, hardly any views on it, but it's an awesome series, and the conversation that we had here was awesome. Oh yes, Phil Nolan also made some great thumbnails, and thank you for that. Also for using my music constantly as well, which I always really appreciate. But yeah, this was another really, for me, this was like one of the most interesting series that I made, or conversations that I had all the year, was with this guy talking about how TV stuff gets made. It's like how sausages get made. And yeah, that was a really great series, and I want to do more stuff like that. The summer party was awesome. Did a great collab video. That's Raina from Deep in Japan there with Jake Edelstein on the central thumbnail. But yes, it was a great party. Got to meet lots of people for the first time and so on. I had some great connections from that. And at the end of the year, kind of got together with a few people, including some people who I think are watching. We got Nonbiristo, Ben Duncan, Ben Duncan, Foghart, and Chikumakarang, as an original group, but just people who make music to share with video game and YouTubers, video game makers and YouTubers, and we formed the Tokyo Digital Crew. I made the name and the logo, but we took a vote on it, and this seems to work. I kind of like the idea of having caps and shirts with this stuff. which I'm looking at making, and we all make and share pretty good quality stuff for your videos for free that you can put on. It would also be kind of nice. We'll see. I'm going to look, and if we get, I think the quality is almost there that we can maybe ask about getting into the YouTube audio library as well, because we make the stuff for the purpose of sharing them. But that was created at the end of the year, and it'll be interesting to see where we take that this year. Shout out a bunch of other people just for how the year went. So next was the video highlights of the year. Stu in Tokyo's viral vid, which got picked up by CNN and got millions of views and so on. A Week in the Life of a Tokyo Salaryman was awesome. Big shout out to Jenny Silva, who made Japanese IRL, which you use with my music, but it's a great language series, and yeah, it's really cool to see that series doing really, really well. I thought that was great. Black in Japan, the video by Rachel and Jun that went fully viral in a planned way, which is so rare. Another one, again, by Stu in Tokyo and Megwin, which I thought this was awesome. How to Becoming a Ninja. Really, really high quality, well produced. This was awesome. Ami Yamato, awesome as always, and I thought that this video, Ami versus the Evil Dread, these kind of parody things, again, look really, really closely at all her videos, because you'll see there's some magic in that. Nothing is automated. These things are actual works of art. These are her videos. You got to check them out anyway. And she had another awesome, she had another great year there. I find that Stephanie, she's actually now making proper movies and TV series and comedies and stuff like that, and getting really serious with the production. She's in Brighton now. She was in Japan for a long time. But the thing is, as much as I love all the stuff that she produces, and she produces some great stuff, and she dropped me a note that her new comedy series that she's making, she's going to be using my music, which is thank you very much for that. But the thing about Stephanie, about Caffeine Jetto, is that she's just so compelling when she is just talking. She's just one of these people who's got a gift that she's just very good at talking. She's got a great voice. She's got a great attitude and confidence that comes across when she talks. And, she's literally, a crappy webcam and terrible lighting and hungover and just woken up. And I think she's actually physically lying in bed for some of this. The worst possible situation. I mean, write-off type situation, and she's completely compelling. And she's compelling even when she's just talking about boring stuff, let alone when she's talking about BDSM, which she pulled out in this video. She came out of the BDSM closet or torture chamber or whatever they call them, and gave a long lecture on how 50 Shades of Grey is not real BDSM, and a lot of information on what it is, and it was I just love the way that she delivered the message. I thought it was a great video that's worth watching. Tiko Sam, guy only makes one proper video a year, a bunch of bullshit for the rest of it. Sorry dude, but you know what I'm saying here. He talks a big game, and and he doesn't make any videos, and everyone's he's just talking, he doesn't do anything good. And then he makes an awesome video, and the Hanami preview video for the video last year was awesome. It was awesome. It was one of the best videos of last year, and I'm like, dude, just do that all the time. Is that so much to ask? Maybe it is, because credit to the thing is I guess what frustrates me at times with Sam is that the guy does actually have talent. He actually has serious skill, and I wish he'd put it out there more, because when he does this, it was magic. It was a great video. And now onto the science stories. The science stories for the year. Yes, indeed. So the science stuff, the way they all switched from electric cars and stuff like that to suddenly being, which has been kind of boring. Cars have been kind of boring for the last 20 years, frankly. All of a sudden now cars are talking about being completely self-driving, and how Volvo in particular and some other companies are really, really going far out there. The technology approaches to embedding the road with sensors, to having cars that use lasers to detect everything, to drive themselves or whatever. But the idea that this will reshape what cars are, the fact that you can sleep. I've talked at length repeatedly on this show about my interest in the subject, but I think it's really dramatic just how this change happened this year, that all of a sudden now everyone's in this race, this arms race to build the first proper self-driving car. And living in a place like Japan, I think it's going to be really revolutionary, and it's going to really boost the car industry, and it has the potential. I think if Volvo can beat Toyota to the punch and getting a genuine self-driving car to market first, I think Volvo could replace Toyota. They could become the best-selling cars in the world. I think it's going to be really, really exciting to watch cars for the next couple of years. And, they have this technology that I want to be out there now. Another really awesome technology is this. This is a startup company. Well, there's two, actually. One is with the sensor technology. Everyone's seen the Sony A7S, which has this amazing see-in-the-dark sensor, which... it's not just full frame. It's not just a great camera sensor which takes beautiful video like a Canon 5D Mark III, but it's also actually got a sensor which is just really good at picking up low light, which means that you can record. I could record in this room with crappy light. You don't need all this lighting, and it will look awesome, and it will look like film quality. And that's what the Sony promises with that. And the sensors are going crazy. But the other thing that's happening is that you've got this what is this called? This is I forget the name of this camera. It's like the light camera or something, but it's got like 13 lenses on it, all with little sensors on them, but it combines all of them into a photo image, which, again, I used to do astronomy. I handmade a telescope. I used to be into optics. And yeah, it's about collecting photons, and you got a limit on what you can do on a thin smartphone. But binoculars are like two telescopes attached together. They gather more light. You get a wider field of view, and that's what this does. And this sort of technology, if this starts to work, I mean, I'd really love for the iPhone 7 to have multiple cameras on it that can combine to take, have the effect of being a better quality camera. And I think we're going to start seeing that. I'm really hopeful for that. So cameras are going crazy. That's awesome. A lot of really cool stabilization technology from a bunch of different perspectives. The hyperlapse and the software stabilization has gotten way better. The Microsoft hyperlapse app is awesome, that I've used a bunch of times. The Instagram hyperlapse app I've also used for making a bunch of videos, and I love that as well. But now you've also got things like, again, enhanced software stabilization. You've got these attachments. So a company that's made an attachment that combines with software. You attach it to the top of your camera, and it detects all the bumps physically, and it creates a record of that combines with stabilization software later on to super stabilize the video, which is really, really awesome. And the other thing you've got is things like the powered gimbal stands, and there's a bunch of them, but the really prominent one at the moment is super expensive, but Dave Powell has it. He's made some videos of it. Is the DJI Osmo, $850, which is more than I would pay, frankly, but you have basically a cinema Steadicam, and all of these things end up with the same result of a cinema type production, which, again, if you're going to make video and travel around anywhere, hey, like Japan, sorry you got to go, but have a good night there. All of this is, again, I think, coming to the point that we're like a couple of years away from a normal camera or even a smartphone. You're going to be able to be running around and be taking like, Kubrick type smooth video. That's what I'm hoping for. And Cat Plays, I would love to meet up next time I'm in Brizzy, indeed. And I'll make sure that I get some proper time for a proper meetup next time. I had a great meetup last time. I met about 3 or 4 people, but there's a bunch of people I didn't meet who are clearly in Brisbane who messaged me and said that they'd love to meet. So I'd love to do another meetup when I go back, and I had a great time last time as well. What else we got here? We've got YouTube is introducing a bunch of new features. I think that the apps that they're releasing are better at the moment. The gaming thing has been huge. The multi-language features. There's a bunch of rumors that I've heard about stuff that's here. You can already see things like the crowd-funded fan subtitles and stuff like that are becoming available, which I want to start using. The editing functionality, I noticed the other day, has gotten a lot better on the editor inside the app. I can go and actually take clips and chunks out of the video in the middle, not just the front and the end anymore. So I think that YouTube is getting a lot better. YouTube Red has arrived, which I think is also going to be good for creators as well as for YouTube as a platform. I think it's going to allow it to become like Netflix, but at the same time, for people who want to make a living off making content, it's going to mean, if you pay, it means that your views are going to be more valuable to the creators. They're going to get recognized as being, they're going to result directly in more revenue, which is, for me, it's a great way of paying back and rewarding the videos that you want to support. Lara, there's going to be a big meetup in Tokyo for the Hanami on probably, I think, early March generally. And there might be something before that, even, any time. I mean, I'm always free for a meetup, by the way. If you're around Tokyo and you want to go to lunch, if you want to meet me for lunch and you're in Tokyo, I'm around. Just message me. I do that. But a meetup, indeed, would be cool to do a meetup sometime as well, separate to the Hanami and the summer party. They're both a long way away. Hope Toko, I'd love to go to the States. I don't have anything planned. If I do, I'll let the world know. If I'm going, it's most likely going to be for work. And if it's for work, I don't know how much free time I'll have, but I'd love to do that. But anyway, I think YouTube Red is going to be a good thing. It's going to be a good thing. So that is cool. The HoloLens, I saw this stuff from Microsoft. Microsoft is kicking ass at the moment. I've been waiting for Apple and Google to release a unified operating system like a Mac, which has a dual boot system even for iOS and Mac. I would buy that. Or for Google to merge Android and Chrome OS, and no one seems to have got it done. Phil Nolan, I hope you can make it to the Hanami as well this year. Microsoft is doing it with Windows 10, or at least that's what they're saying. They're going to have a unified, it's going to be Android app compatible, and it's going to be Windows and mobile apps are all going to be compatible on the same OS. If that really happens, that's awesome. Also, how everyone's focused on the release of Oculus, the VR platform that Facebook now owns from probably early 2016, how they got all these massive VR headsets, and I was really excited by those and the idea of creating a virtual work environment that I don't need all these monitors around me, that I can sit at my desk and pretend to have like 12 monitors or whatever, with virtual monitors or music or video editing interfaces and stuff like that. That's super exciting. But then I saw HoloLens, and HoloLens is like, okay, it's the same sort of thing, except it merges those interfaces as like visible holograms in the room that you're in, so you're not blind. You're not, it's not virtual reality. You're not blind to the world around you. It merges it with the reality that you're in. This blew my mind. This I want, and I want this to work and be real. And frankly, it's going to start probably being very unwieldy, but I'd love if we can get to a point in a couple of years that this is going to work by Bluetooth from phones, and that phones are going to be our computers that we carry everywhere. That's where I think it's going. And credit to Microsoft, they are the innovators right now, and they're making Google and Apple look slow, which, it's been like 20, 30 years since Microsoft has been in that position. If they can pull it off, I want them to succeed. So, kudos Microsoft. I love how they've changed direction. And Japan stories for the year. Well, I was going through my stories. The first story that I had for the year was actually Abe in January was going back saying we need to go and correct all this mistaken history that that he, as he calls it, about the Kono statement, the apology for the comfort women. We have to undo this, and the government started this whole commission to research to prove that the Kono statement was a diplomatic compromise rather than a real admission of guilt and all this sort of stuff. And yes, indeed, it's he's gone from that at the start of the year to literally outright even denying the whole comfort women thing to the end of the year. Outdoing the Kono statement with an even bigger apology, more money, a more direct admission of guilt, to historically resolve the issue. I don't think it's going to be resolved because I don't think it's a resolvable issue, frankly. I think Japan has already made two perfectly respectable attempts at resolving the issue in 65 and in 93, and this will be another one like those efforts. I think it will be, it's going to be temporarily applauded, but I think that if it's not dead before Park Lee's office, it's certainly going to be dead when the opposition comes into government in Korea, and the public's never going to accept it because there are people who just don't want to see this issue resolved. They'll see the resolution, and they see this as an issue that shouldn't be resolved. This is an issue that's the existence underpins the meaning and significance of the independence of South Korea, and as being the result of liberation from the Japanese colonial period. To consider this issue resolved is to consider the Japanese colonial occupation of Korea and the abuses that it carried out to be resolved, which a lot of people clearly don't want. I mean, this is what's happening in the news right now. It's something that they don't want to make peace over. But there again, for Japan's part, I think it's another sincere and good attempt to wrap it up. And it's been. I must admit, I was surprised that it happened within the year. I didn't think it was possible. Another really big story in Japan, a big social shift has happened in Japan this year. I think 2015 will be seen as a watershed year in Japan for gay rights. Shibuya and Setagaya Awards in that order recognized de facto gay marriages as being the same as a civil, basically for administrative purposes, as being the same as regular de facto marriages, and issuing documentation to that effect. The thing about Japan is that although there has been some degree of stigmatization of gay people, based on abnormality or perceived deviance, I suppose, but deviance in the sense of not being normal. The idea of being normal, having a wife and kids and all that sort of stuff. But there again, again, Japanese history is full of people who, even when being married and having kids, have, male concubines or whatever you call them and so on. And, the culture itself doesn't have a religious or moral sort of stigma with homosexuality like Christian societies or Christian-founded societies like those in Western countries do. So I've always found that the stigma is here. The stigma is more from being strange than from being, actually ethically or morally wrong, which I think is preposterous and is something. But it's what causes the big struggle over gay rights in Western countries. So I think the hurdle to overcome in Japan has always been smaller, because I think the readiness for acceptance has always been closer. You're not challenging people's religious views by accepting it in Japan. But that said, Japan is a socially conservative country, and it's taken a long time for these rights to come to a head, as they have done now. But with these two wards very publicly recognizing gay unions, and that making a lot of media attention, public polls for the first time after this in Japan started to show that a majority of people believed that they should just recognize gay couples the same as heterosexual couples, particularly when you think that the birth rate is down to nearly 1. Which means that there's probably half the married couples in Japan don't have any kids anyway. So the idea of defining marriage as being an institution for children, even among heterosexual couples, a lot of people are making a proactive choice for it not to be that. So I think the whole perception of what marriage is and so on is also changing, and it's just been good timing. For the first time ever, public polls have been showing that now actually a clear majority of people support gay unions and or LGBT unions. And indeed, where there have been some instances of elderly, socially conservative local politicians saying, that they are abnormal, even using the word abnormal, which I don't think was a very strong term, but they are forced to publicly retract and apologize. So, people jumped on them for saying that. So I think it's been a really, really good year for gay rights in Japan. Real visible progress, actually, towards normalization. And I think it's this thing, because this is all, the stigma is dictated by what's socially accepted or normal. I think there's been a ground shift in Japan where they've crossed that line, that it is now kind of more or less, by a broad majority of society in Japan, now accepted as normal in Japan during this year, and that has led to I think you're going to see a huge spread of the same sort of stuff that you've seen from those two wards. Another thing, back in March, we had Brian McNeil. He put up the petition against the blackface performance of was it Momoiro, and what was the name of the Rats and Star, the black tribute band, black music tribute band. And there's a bit of controversy, of course, about the petition itself. The whole idea of the tribute band itself was that they are not like the American tradition of blackening up their faces to mock or ridicule black people. They're actually doing it as a tribute to black music and black people who they have dedicated their entire musical careers towards paying tribute to and emulating. And they do it in order to make themselves, they want to appear African because they want to become African. It's an envy of the culture, and so it's not intended with a racist intent. However, that said, these people have been made aware of the fact that the black people that they are paying tribute to, who are mostly black American musicians, find what they do to be extremely offensive, and they're aware of that, but they've kept doing it because that's been the trademark of their act for a long time. But when this was promoted on TV, some black Americans, again in Japan, who pointed out that the people who they're paying tribute to would be horrified being paid tribute to in this way. And it's not really acceptable in this day and age to do this on TV. They put a petition online, and it was interesting. Fuji TV, where the normal position is to defiantly say, well, you just don't understand us, and to assume the Japanese position as a victim, that they actually quietly seem to cancel the act. They didn't say anything about it, but they removed it from the schedule. They showed up without the blackface, and so it looks like it was a win for Brian McNeil, which was really, really interesting to see. Again, I think another small sign of social change. Book of Host, yes, that's another point. I didn't get into a lot of detail. I will get into that with Steve Miller, who's based in Seoul, of course, on the February edition of What's Up Asia. But Park has tried to do has tried to make a name for herself by being tough on Japan through her entire presidency, to try to increase her popularity by being tough on Japan. And the whole idea is that this is supposed to be the big concession that she's won by being tough. That, it's supposed to be the payoff that will now allow her to be friendly with Japan, like her father, who was a Japanese imperial military officer and a huge Japanophile and friend of Japan, who founded Japanese diplomatic relations and was friends with Abe's father. She's always been tainted by that whole, family, dictator and collaborator father. She's been tainted by that, and she's had to overcome that. But the whole idea is that this whole Comfort Woman resolution is supposed to be the payoff that allows her to do that. But the problem is that she's so unpopular anyway at this point. A deal with Japan is only going to hurt her, exactly as you say. So, which is also going to make it harder for the public to accept the deal. So for all sorts of reasons, the deal is not going to catch on, I don't think. Park has just been another train wreck. I mean, I don't know what it takes to be successful in Korean politics. I really like Kim Dae-jung. I really liked Lee for the first half of his presidency. But, I don't know how. It seems like every administration there just ends as a train wreck, and Park has been a train wreck all along. Coming back, two real prominent drugs in the mail stories. Again, the story even on John Oliver last week tonight, he's made a big thing about how Japan is kind of over-medicated, how drug prescriptions and the addiction of Americans to drug prescriptions and so on has been kind of extreme. And the side effect of this is that Americans who go overseas, for example, this young lady from Oregon, she had her mother send her a bunch of ADHD, Adderall, Ritalin and Adderall, I think are the two main methamphetamine-based prescriptions used in America to treat ADHD. I never really understood. I mean, I'm completely comfortable that it's correct, that it's medically tested. It is funny how, ADHD people, you treat them by giving them methamphetamines. You think you do the opposite, but yeah, it's been proven to be effective. And so you have a lot of these ADHD diagnosed people who come to Japan, but they know that they can't bring their meds and they're afraid of prejudice, disclosing that they have a mental health condition in Japan, which is a bit, indeed, and fair enough to say, it's a bit backward in terms of mental health care in Japan, and ADHD has only even very recently started to be recognized in Japan even as a condition. So this girl's mother decided to put a bunch of her ADHD pills inside a Tylenol container and to send them to her that way, like as Tylenol from America. The problem is, of course, that although Adderall is a commercial, widely used drug, it is also a form of methamphetamine. I mean, Japan invented methamphetamines, and crystal meth used to be commonly sold in chemists in Japan, and throughout the whole society was used widely in Japan. The destructive effects of crystal meth in Japan resulted in its criminalization and the very strong laws that Japan has against all methamphetamine. And it may surprise some people to learn that Adderall and Ritalin are very just commercialized versions of crystal meth. They're nice versions, they're therapeutic, they've got smaller doses than junkies use and so on, but they are crystal meth. And Japan has strict laws against crystal meth, and they don't recognize them as medicines. And so when you take crystal meth and you put it inside a Tylenol container and you send it to Japan, you're going to get in trouble. And that's what happened to this girl. They did accept that it was a big misunderstanding. They didn't force her to go home, but I don't think she had to go to jail or anything like that, which was a good ending for that. The other one was a Toyota executive, an American lady, who apparently had non-prescribed meds, painkillers that it appears she was addicted to, that again they also concealed and sent in the mail. And she got in a lot of trouble for that. Please, even with Adderall, the advice from the US Embassy, they updated their page on this because they had two very prominent cases of this happening. If you've got a prescription for it from a US doctor and you can take it, disclose it, there are ways to send meds, there are ways to take meds with you. Don't lie and don't conceal them, because they will be found and you'll get into a lot of trouble if you try to conceal them. Half the time, even if Japanese doctors don't prescribe Adderall or Ritalin, if you at least have a prescription and you show it, and you show it's for your own use and that it's for a condition that is prescribed, they can let you do that. And as Book of Hosts says, which is great, which I didn't know about, but there are apparently alternatives which are available here. But especially if you're coming here for a few months and you're bringing your own supply and you've got a prescription for it, just show that. I mean, half the time they'll let you do it. But hiding it in Tylenol containers and having your mum send it to is not the way to go about it. Wow, crystal meth was used in a diet chocolate. Oh, so yes. Eddie, by the way, Eddie, I know in real life, I don't have a lot of in-depth knowledge on ADHD, and I know that it's not even widely the whole first thing is that it's not even widely diagnosed in Japan. And I do know that where it is diagnosed, that Adderall and Ritalin are not recognised in Japan. Although there we go, Book of Host. Maybe you'd like to share with Eddie there what the alternatives are. I don't know, but like I said, it's kind of only a recently recognised condition here in Japan. So anyway, I think here on the which I've mentioned multiple times on the apprentice trainee visa program, and how it's been abused basically for cheap slave labor, and how people have been running away, and there's been Vice News and a bunch of international news people have started to pick up on it. I think it's going to make Japan look really bad if they don't improve it. More Japan-Korea stuff. At the end of the year, the head of the Sankei Shimbun, the bureau chief for Sankei Shimbun in Korea. Sankei Shimbun is, of course, one of the probably out of all the big mainstream newspapers, it is the most right-wing, the most conservative, and the most anti-Korean, or the most challenging towards Korea, and indeed anti-comfort women and all this sort of stuff. And they decided that they would try to be clever, and they would try to intimidate the local media against printing stories, spreading rumors about the president, by taking this Japanese newspaper that no one in Korea likes, that reprinted local news. They only reprinted a local news story. This wasn't, an original sort of story, but they reprinted a story, and they basically put this guy under house arrest for 9 months. And then they sent him back to Japan on condition he come back for his trial in Korea, which he did. And it took like 1.5 years to be acquitted. Basically, the whole thing was declared a waste of time, that he was charged with criminal defamation against the president of Korea for publishing a story that was going around in the Korean press, that the president may have been with a male friend at the time of the Sewell sinking, which he denies. At the end of the day, it caused a lot of damage, and again, it really, frankly, made this and a bunch of other things kind of made the South Korean government look a little bit like the North Korean government at times during last year. Another big thing was the people talk about the pressure in Japan happening on the squeeze on the media. And this is particularly around the war and the Asahi Shimbun, the left-wing newspaper, which there are a lot of people in the LDP with no opposition in sight now. They're really making hay at the moment, and they're really laying into the Asahi Shimbun, again, over the comfort women issue in particular, particularly laying into some discredited articles that were published by the Asahi Shimbun and the journalists that were associated with them, going after the newspaper itself, forcing a public apology by the paper for errors in the original stories, relating to the comfort woman story, and going around and actually like a mafia type intimidation campaign against the former journalists, some of whom are working in universities and so on, threatening to bomb universities where they look at, and the universities gave in and said, okay, we won't hire the guy, and kind of ruining this guy's life. And it's been a big campaign, which is covered in detail here in the New York Times. Another big thing this year, after years of international pressure, diplomatic, NGOs, Sea Shepherd, Greenpeace, everyone campaigning to try to get Japan, one, to stop capturing and slaughtering dolphins in Taiji, and the other to stop whaling, both with kind of mixed results. It turns out the most effective thing ever seems to have happened with the the World Association of Zoos and Aquariums, WAZA, put a thing that they will excommunicate. Basically, they will kick out members from national organizations that allow supply of dolphins from the Taiji catch, which is apparently the Taiji is like the #1 supplier of bottlenose dolphins in the world for aquariums. And so this meant that they would be Japanese zoos as well as aquariums would be excluded from global sort of sharing under the organized by WAZA of, for example, animals for breeding programs, the loaning of kind of rare animals for zoos and stuff like that. And basically, I think the zoos were more afraid than the aquariums, of course, of this, and they said, okay, if that's the case, no more in Japan. New rule: no more Taiji dolphins in JAZA, Japan Association of Zoos and Aquariums. They banned them. Of course, a lot of aquariums left the national organization as a result of this, and the government itself, which this is like the biggest blow against the Taiji dolphin hunt that had ever happened. So a bunch of very conservative politicians came in and said, we'll give money to aquariums that leave the Japan Association and give them money to keep doing this, which is kind of unhelpful, but it's actually very effective, and actually much more effective than a lot of the other methods being used by some other people in this. Finally, butter shortages. Maybe not finally, I think there might be a couple of others, but it's interesting. A couple of things here. One, I've mentioned before about how the butter shortages have been the result of farmer lack of capacity and incompetence. And at the same time, the government successfully lobbied in the TPP negotiations to exclude butter from free trade, so we don't have the prospect of butter coming in from outside to stop the shortages and rationing that's been happening. It's been like the Soviet Union for butter for the last 2 years in Japan. But the thing is that the government went and actually bought a bunch of foreign butter that they bought, and they shared with all the distribution companies to try to increase the volume of butter to end the shortages. But what's happened is that the shortages are still happening. Even now, there are still limits in some supermarkets on the amount of butter that you can buy. And apparently, like I think the Yomiuri looked into this, and they went and asked, well, the suppliers, why, even when we're importing butter to cover for the production shortfall, why are there still shortages in supermarkets? And they said, well, we're making enough. Oh, Wikipedia, by the way, nice to see that you made it, and thank you for the like. Happy New Year. Even though there is now supposedly sufficient butter being supplied, why are there still rationing in the supermarkets? And they said, well, it appears that the wholesalers who are gathering the butter are intentionally withholding butter from the supermarkets to create shortages in order to justify price hikes. So again, this is the industry that the Japanese government is protecting from free trade, and that we are still faced with shortages, no longer because of incompetent cows and farmers, but actually because of unscrupulous wholesalers that are actually now extending the crisis unnecessarily. And Wikipedia, I'm sorry you have to suffer through margarine when you could be having healthy, good, wholesome butter. I've been having like butter overtime when I've been in Australia, because it's just been unacceptable. And I told my mum about just how unacceptable the butter situation here was. She like went and bought extra for me, and I was like having bread rolls covered in butter every day. And that's probably actually why I had put on 5 kilos while I was in Australia, just from butter. Anyway, the security bills to normalise Japan's military role, to allow it to defend the US forces that defend Japan. Perfectly reasonable thing to do. But it was interesting that the government's own constitutional experts all unanimously agreed it was unconstitutional, which put the government in a lot of trouble. Tourism, the government's been noticing that a lot of foreigners have tattoos, and has been quietly trying to create the conditions for a social change to allow foreigners at least to go into onsens without tattoos. However, public polls and polls of the onsen places themselves show that the Japanese public does not want to make an exception for foreigners. They think it's probably not fair to make an exception for foreigners with tattoos. And so the government's kind of fighting against their own people a little bit at the moment to try to loosen the tattoo bans that happen in many public baths at the moment. But it's interesting to see that the government's pushing that. Great Gaijin Pot list here of 10 commandments of karaoke, which I think are all awesome. By the way, I'd love to do a karaoke session anytime with locals in Tokyo. If people want to organise a Tokyo YouTube like karaoke thing, I'm up for it. So let me know. And Min Huang, I'm totally up for salted butter myself. Definitely has to be salted. If you come, follow these rules. These rules can be the commandments of whatever Tokyo YouTube karaoke group that we formed. But yes, I definitely want to do that. The rugby team, Japanese rugby team, kicked ass at the World Cup. They beat South Africa, former world champion and regular #1 country. That was awesome. Our man in Abiko, Patrick Sheriff, he wrote like the best blog ever about writing about Japan. It's kind of meta, but it's just awesome. He just goes through all the writing and drafting cliches. Yes, that was a Nickelback tattoo, that's right. He wrote the best blog ever about writing about Japan. Just read it and you'll just see every thing written about Japan completely deconstructed. That was good. And there were the Olympics mess-ups. That's right, which I think I've got as the last one. Indeed. The Olympics mess-ups. First of all, the logo and the stadium. The stadium thing went over budget, so they just announced a new stadium, which is going to be that one right there. They had a perfectly good stadium to begin with. They didn't need to knock down, let alone spending $2 billion on building a new one that was over budget. And this one, same issue with the logo thing, that it was basically kind of a fixed bid for a logo that no one liked. So the internet went in to ruin the life of the designer of the fixed bid. It turned out it was actually a rigged bid. And now they're doing a more public kind of submittal emblem campaign, a lot like the New Zealand flag campaign, which there are a lot of good designs out there, so I'm actually hopeful it will produce a better result. But there again, just complete mismanagement by the Japan Olympic Committee, Yoshiro Mori in particular, the former Prime Minister, who's just an ass. And he's just been messing everything up. And, the Olympics is still going to be great in spite of all of this trouble, but geez. I just talked before about the comfort women issue. This issue is not going to be resolved by this, unfortunately. I wish it would be, but it won't, because people don't want it to be resolved. But it's sad, and it's a shame. But it is kind of interesting. I think on the one hand, you could say that Abe's made a huge shift in his position from the start of the year, and he's made huge concessions by the deal that he's cut with South Korea. At the same time, giving that deal basically forces the South Korean government to argue on behalf of Abe to the Korean people. I mean, it's just like a death sentence for Park. It's win-win for Abe. Either Park can't sell it and she fails, but Japan's off the hook, or they accept it and Japan's off the hook. But either way, it really puts the Park administration there under a lot of pressure. So congrats to them. And that is it. That is my Facebook. You can see it all here on my all the stories from the whole year are here in my 2015 Flipboard here. I am over an hour. I'm well over an hour. I'm 10 minutes over an hour. I can show you quickly how I made a couple of tracks on iMachine. You want to see iMachine for a minute? I can show you. It's kind of cool. Let's do this for a couple of minutes. One day when I have more time, I will show you what I have learned on how to make stuff with this app. It's much more difficult than Calculator, and you don't get the same instant result and instant gratification that you would like, but or that I would like. But at the same time, let's load that up. Let me see if I can get this working. Bada bing. And do I have sound here? Oh, that's kind of loud. So basically, anyway, Lara, have a good night, and I will quickly show you how I put this together. So anyway, this is a track that I made. So you can see, I did each one of these. Anyway, there's a cowbell. I think it just needs more cowbell. So anyway, I recorded this, I put it on SoundCloud, I did the whole thing, more sound, more cowbell. It's all there. I'm making more stuff. I'm getting better at using this stuff. Yeah, the thing is, you have to it takes a long time to set up. It took me hours to make this. There's cowbell, you can hear it. But yes, the results are much better and you got much more control. And so with this, I'll be able to make better music, which I'm working on at the moment. I do love this. There it is. So... Sorry, Ben, we have some people who want cowbell and some who don't. But I really like this track how it came out. Well, anyway, this is a really tough app to learn, but I spent a lot of hours on it, and it came out kind of cool. So I will stop that. Boom, and I'll play some stuff on that in future weeks. But anyway, big show. Covered a lot of ground with that. Actually, covered all of 2015, 2016. Looking forward to doing a lot of stuff, including seeing you guys every Sunday night on the show. Have a good 2016. Hope you guys are all well. Looking forward to spending the year with you. Take care and see you again soon, and peace. Bada boom. Cowbell. Just nothing but cowbell. I'm going to turn it up and give you more cowbell as I leave. Every show, every weekend I can just do cowbell. There we go. Okay, have a good night, everybody. Oh, and don't forget, this Wednesday, Japan Business Time. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.